A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away.
Don't understand.
On defense.
Never have.
Command ship. As long as I stay.
On defense mechanism.
Never fluid.
Command.
Don't understand.
On defense.
Never have.
Command ship. As long as I stay.
On defense mechanism.
Never fluid.
Command.
Don't understand.
No, wait. On defense.
Never have.
Command ship. As long as I stay. You made it.
On defense mechanism. Defense mechanism.
Feel the conflict within you. Let go of your hate.
Never have.
No, wait. On defense.
Don't understand.
Command ship.
Let go of your hate.
There. You made it.
Fluid. Never have.
No, wait. On defense.
Don't understand.
Command ship.
Let go of your hate.
There. You made it.
Fluid. Never have.
No, wait. On defense.
Don't understand.
Command ship.
Let go of your hate.
There. You made it.
Fluid. Never fluid.
Command.
Don't understand.
On defense.
Never have.
Command ship. As long as I stay.
On defense mechanism.
Never fluid.
Command.
Don't understand.
No, wait. On defense.
Never have.
Command ship. As long as I stay. You made it.
On defense mechanism.
There.
Never fluid.
Command.
Don't understand.
On defense.
Never have.
Command ship. As long as I stay.
Let go of your hate.
On defense mechanism.
Never fluid.
Command.
Don't understand.
No, wait. On defense.
Never have.
Command ship. As long as I stay. You made it.
On defense mechanism.
There.
Good morning, guys. Let me know if this music is too loud. I'm going to turn it down a little bit so you can hear me over it. But yeah, welcome to the supporter Q&A. For those of you who have no idea what's going on right now, normally I do a supporter Q&A every other month. But now I'm going to start doing them every month. Because I do them live now. I used to do them scripted. I would type out all the answers to everything. And then it would take me literally like 2 days to make a Q&A video. It was just a long process. Now I do them live. It's more in the moment. It's way more fun for me. And I hope it's more fun for you guys too. So I haven't seen any of these questions yet. That's kind of how I like to do it. You know, I just take a screenshot of all the questions, combine them all, and then let me turn this down a little bit more. And then yeah, I answer them. But yeah, so this is just a little thank you to everybody that subscribes or sponsors the channel either on YouTube or on Patreon. Just a little every month thank you for supporting the channel on a monthly basis. So yeah, what's up, Syncubus36? Good to see you, man. You are currently the only sponsor on right now. So yeah, these questions all come from my Patreon page and my my Discord server where sponsors can ask questions in there. And also, sponsors can chit-chat in the chat right now, just like Syncubus is doing. All right, let's get to the first question from Almeri. You're lucky that I saw this, man. I just saw it, and right before I went live, and I copied and pasted it into here. But Al says, what's up, HelloGreedo? Have you ever thought about doing a HG meetup at Disney Orlando sometime in the future? Seems like a perfect place for the HG community to come together and celebrate Star Wars / the HelloGreedo channel. Much respect to ya, and thanks for everything. That would be a good place to come together, right? I've never actually... Let me take off my headphones, because I'm not listening to anything. And the music always just throws me off. Okay, now I can't hear anything. Alright. I have always... Oh, 1 second. I guess I do have to have my headphones on, right?
I'm here too.
Hey, what's up, Cap? 1 second, Cap. Al, I have thought about doing not Disney meetups necessarily, but more convention meetups. Whenever I go to a convention, which is very rare. It's very rare that I go to a convention. I'm not much of a convention guy. I don't really get a kick out of walking around and stuff like that. My biggest regret so far with the channel, Al, is that when I was down in at Star Wars Celebration in Orlando, that I didn't say, hey, let's all meet up. Because that would have been fun, right? But no, I've never really thought about, like, a specific meetup just for the channel or anything like that. It would be more kind of an in-the-moment, hey, we're at this, I don't know, we're at this movie screening convention or something like that, and I would just send out a tweet, you know? Yeah, would people actually come to a meetup? I don't know. Interesting thought. Maybe I'll do it in the future, Al. But I appreciate the question. The next question comes from Benjamin Herzig. And Cap Coldblood, thank you so much for the super chat, man. I wish I could combine Patreon with the YouTube sponsorship program. It would make things way easier. Maybe they'll do it in the future. But I appreciate that channel support, man. And Empathetic Chaos, good morning, man. Good to see you. I'm doing fantastic. All right, the next question comes from Benjamin Herzig. Since you began watching the Clone Wars, has your perspective of the prequel era changed in any way? While I would say that the movies should be able to stand on their own, which includes episodes 1, 2, and 3, have trouble with, of course, the series does expand many characters quite a bit. I would say that, yes, the Clone Wars TV show has maybe made me appreciate the prequels a little bit more. That's just because we have a more in-depth story and more in-depth information about the characters and whatnot, especially the bad guys, right? I like Grievous more now than I did with the prequels. I like Dooku more now than when I did when it was just the prequels. But that could be said for any kind of franchise that expands on certain segments in film, right? I mean, there's Warhammer novels, there's World of Warcraft novels, there's Star Trek novels, there's Doom novels, and it all enriches the universe of all these franchises. So I think, you know, I don't think it's an accident that the Clone Wars makes me appreciate the prequels more. At least from a storytelling perspective, at least from a character's perspective. But as films, they still leave a lot to be desired with me. I think it's just I've gotten older. I'm not as cynical as I used to be. I mean, like, with a lot of people that are majorly protesting what Disney's doing with the franchise right now, it does remind me in a way of my 2010, 2011 self with the prequels. You know what I mean? Just, I don't know. I'm a different dude. See, Luke Skywalker can change. I was a different dude 6.5 years ago. I was an asshole. Luke would be the same person. No, 30 years later, come back and tell me if you're the same person. But Benjamin Herzig, good to see you, man, and I appreciate that question. Ryan Harp asked the next question, and I need to scroll up a little bit because I was on the wrong screen. What's up, Makatsi? Good to see you, dude. It takes a long time to scroll up on this screen, so give me 1 second. I have to use the mouse, or the keyboard arrows, because if I use the mouse, yeah, you can't lock it in place vertically. I don't know how to explain it. The next question comes from Ryan Harp, and if I move away from the microphone a little too much, let me know. I'm trying to stay in front of it. Hey, Greedo, since I stumped you with my question last time, I'll make it a little easier. What's your favorite piece of the EU that you would, what does that say? That you would want to be made into a movie? My default answer with that question is Shadows of the Empire. I grew up playing Shadows of the Empire. I grew up reading Shadows of the Empire. That was always my and I granted it's a very introductory level book into the Star Wars expanded universe, because it's also a video game, which is kind of a stepping stone into that world. You know what I mean? So if I could pick one EU thing, it would be Shadows of the Empire, just because I love that seedy underworld feel of that video game and that novel with Black Sun, the criminal underworld. You know, it's just always appealed to me. You know, it's really not the Force. It's really not Jedi or Sith. It's really not any of that. It's criminals, criminal underworlds, and stuff like that. And that's always appealed to me in the Star Wars universe. I've always said this, like, whenever I think of Star Wars, I don't think... The first thing that comes to my mind isn't, like, Jedi Knights. It isn't Siths and Force powers and stuff like that. The first thing that comes to my mind when I think of Star Wars is, like, Han Solo, Boba Fett, the Jabba the Hutt's palace, the cantina, the seedy, like, Wild West lived-in universe. That's what's always appealed to me. You know, that's what I think of. But yeah, long story short, Ryan, let's do some Shadows of the Empire. How about that? Makatsi says, trying to play Fortnite at the same time. Nice. I need to fire that up on the PC. I haven't done that yet for the Xbox, or for the PC. I've only dabbled in it for a few rounds on the Xbox. The next question comes from Venom Jewbear. Venom asks, can we get a video of you screaming for 8 hours, please? You guys can make that. If you guys want to make that. Hey, here, I'll give you some... If you guys, Alex at Star Wars Explained is doing a Shadows lore play. Oh, nice. I didn't realize that. That's awesome. I'll have to check those out. I'm a bad YouTuber at watching YouTube. Here, Venom Jewbear. He asks, can we get a video of you screaming for 8 hours, please? I'll let you make that. I'll give you some, I don't know, fuel. You can compile. How about this? I'm gonna yell for like 3 seconds, and you turn it into a 8-hour video. You have to do slow-mo for a 3-second scream into 8 hours. What would that even sound like? If you tried to do 3-second slow-mo scream and expand it to 8 hours, what would that even sound like? Somebody do that. Somebody make that, okay? Ready? 3, 2, 1. Ah! I think my neighbor's outside. But Venom, I'm excited to hear that, man. Justin Woods asks, to clarify my question from last month, do you get paid just for people watching the streams? Oh, do I need to scroll up here? Not yet. Do you get paid for people just watching the streams, or is it the donations that make it worth your time? Also, I don't know what made you put on the baby carrier in your recent video, but that was great. Fatherhood is a blast, and it looks like you're more than ready. Nah, I don't think so. Hope the baby and your wife come through healthy. Well, I appreciate that, Justin. So yeah, he asks, do you get paid for people just watching the streams, or is it the donations that make it worth your time? I don't really know how the ad revenue system works, to tell you the truth. I upload a video, and you know, maybe I'll make like $40 to upload a video that day, $50, and then I'll do a stream. And yes, when you watch a stream and there are ads before the stream, yeah, those act as regular advertisements as if you were going to watch a video. So I might make $5 on a stream through ads. So to answer your question, it's really the donations that make streaming, like, I guess, as you said, worth my time. I would do it anyway. I used to stream in the past before the super chat system was in, you know what I mean? And I would stream anyway. But no, it's definitely when it comes to, I guess, making money from streaming, and every streamer will say this and agree with this, it is the donations. And the way I've always put it, the way I've always kind of like looked at it in my head, is, so you're walking around, let's say, downtown at a festival, and there's a dude there playing the guitar and singing, and he has a little tin can, and there's 100 people watching him play the guitar, and then somebody comes up and puts $1 in the tip jar. That's a super chat donation. In my head, you know what I mean? That's kind of how I can equate it to a real life situation. You have the guy, the street performer playing the guitar, and then occasionally, like, somebody will toss a couple bucks in his tip jar. That's kind of how I think about it. But I appreciate the question, Justin. So I'm sure people are interested in that. Ian Cheedy, good morning, man. How late in the show am I? I've only been doing this for about 16 minutes. I have not gotten to the Discord questions yet. They're at the bottom. I might switch it up next time. Or maybe I'll always do the Discord questions at the end, because that's sponsors. That's who can chat right now. So maybe yeah. All right, let's see. Let's scroll up so we can get to Dan Boring. Yeah, so this is, I've always done the supporter Q&As every other month, you know? Only 6 times a year. Now I'm going to be doing them every month. I say that now, but that could change. You know, I got the baby on the way. We'll see. So there weren't as many questions as there normally would be. I think it just kind of threw people off. Normally I'll get like 35 questions or so. I think I got like 16 this time around. So I think people just got to get used to it being every month, you know. The next question comes from Don Boring. HelloGreedo, I strongly think that fan theories have helped put an ugly spot on the sequel movies. I truly think that YouTube channels that are distinctly out there for that reason are doing more harm than good. The movie themselves have gotten flack on their own, but they definitely got an assist from the Star Wars channels. Do you think that if our options were so mainstream in the late 70s to late 90s, would the Star Wars franchise still be what it is today? And do you think social media in general is giving out entirely way too much information on specific news? You have a great channel and actually one of the few. Thanks for keeping Star Wars where it needs to be. Well, I appreciate the kind words, Don. It is interesting when you look at like just general population. I don't know how I'm going to address this question, Don, but here we go. When you look at the general population, the general movie-going population that goes to see a Star Wars movie, they like it. Everybody that I've talked to really liked The Last Jedi, who aren't like us, right? Who aren't sitting under the table and trying to find every little morsel and crumb of news that drops. They all liked it. The people that have so heavily invested and subscribed to those channels that you're speaking of, it's interesting because they're the ones that are going around hashtagging resist Disney, like they're on the New York Yankees and they hate the Mets. You know what I mean? I think it's very interesting because YouTube is a revenue-making machine. It thrives on clickbait. And when somebody makes a shitload of, this is what's going to happen in the next movie, this is what's going to happen in the next movie, just theories that, obviously, for any thinking person, we know that they don't have an inside source like they claim to have. We know that none of that shit's going to come true. But obviously, people are gullible. And you can get a preconceived idea of what the movie's going to be. You think the story's going to go one way. And when you see some of these theories, they're so outlandish. They're not going to make these stories. They're too in-depth with EU stuff and stuff that the general movie-going audience will not give a shit about or know anything about. No, Snoke isn't going to be Plagueis. I could have told you that fucking 5 years ago when we first saw the first image of Snoke. It's weird. It is weird. If we had the internet and YouTube and all these theories and everything and on the social media in the 70s, 80s, and the 90s, oh man, I don't know. It's kind of interesting. It's like a new form of communication. We don't really know how to use it yet. That's kind of, you know, that's why people are such assholes to one another and spewing out the most ridiculous, inane nonsense. I mean, like, it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of a mirror to the early 2000s almost, when people were screaming George Lucas ruined my childhood. And now in 2018 you have people yelling Disney ruined my childhood. And what, 10 years from now are we gonna have some other, like the next generation of Star Wars fans yelling that X, Y, and Z ruined their childhood? I don't know, man. It's too weird. But yeah, theory channels need to calm down. It's not gonna come true. Like, they're batting zero. They're not taking stories from deep, dark EU stuff that the general movie, they're trying, like every single other Star Wars movie, they're trying to hit the most viewers they can. They're trying to just make a fun, enjoyable ride. That's what Star Wars has always been about, you know? Alright, enough of that rant. But I appreciate that, that question, Don. A nerf is an animal, similar to a cow/pig thing. If I recall correctly. I believe, I think you're right. Probably. The Ender's Game ruined my childhood because the movie wasn't 100% faithful to the book. There you go, Ian. Yeah. The next question comes from Luke Ebard. I'm gonna say Ebard. Hey HG, I heard you once say The People vs. George Lucas is one of your all-time favorite documentaries, or out-of-film documentary. As someone who hated it, I'm curious as to why it personally spoke to you. Secondly, do you think The People vs. George Lucas has any relevance as of today? Lastly, have you heard of this other out-of-film docs, The Prequel Strike Back? Don't be alarmed by the title, as it won't change anyone's opinions, but I did find it to be more balanced and insightful than The People vs. George Lucas. Interesting. To answer the last part of your question, yes, The Prequel Strike Back. I have been wanting to watch it for a long time now. I'm actually in communication with the director of that movie. We back and forth on Twitter occasionally. And I've just been saying that I want to watch your movie, and I think he's going to give me a viewing code or something like that. But super nice guy. I want to watch it. Yes, The People vs. George Lucas. You said it, you didn't think it was balanced and insightful, or at least you didn't think it was as balanced and insightful as The People vs. George Lucas. I haven't seen that, I haven't seen The Prequel Strike Back, obviously. But I thought The People vs. George Lucas was very balanced. I thought, you know, going into it, before I even watched the documentary, I thought it was going to be very harsh. But I thought they did a really good job balancing it all out. There's some really level-headed interviews in that documentary. There's not very many people kicking and screaming. It's kind of like the documentary is, it's not really about the movies, it's about the fandom. It's holding up a magnifying glass to the fandom and just seeing why people think what they do about the prequels, about George Lucas, about the original trilogy. It's really interesting. That's interesting that you didn't like it, that you actually hated it. I thought it was one of the more balanced, surprisingly balanced documentaries I've seen, especially with the title. If you see The People vs. George Lucas, you assume that it's just going to be just trashing stuff. But I thought it was the complete opposite of that. I thought they did a really good job. I don't know, but I want to see The Prequel Strike Back. I need to see it. I've been talking about it for a long time. Really, the only reason I completely forgot about it was because at the time when I was planning on watching it and doing a review on it and discussing it, that's when we found out that my wife was pregnant. So kind of put it on the back burner, and I forgot about it until like 2 weeks ago when I messaged the director back. But yeah. All right, let's scroll up a little bit. Ready Player One will ruin my childhood because I have a super secret inside source that tells me that it isn't entirely a line-for-line copy of the book. Empathetic Chaos. I still need to finish the book. I've heard the movie's good. Like the trailer the trailer to Ready Player One, I was like, oh man, this doesn't look good. I'm not excited for this. But from what I've heard, from trusty sources that I always trust their opinion, and normally we agree on things, it's good. I'll have to see it. The next question comes from Benjamin Herzig. I thought I already answered his question up top since you began watching. Yeah. I hope it's okay if I ask a second question. It's okay this time, Benjamin. But next time, no. I'm just fucking with you, man. I hope it's okay if I ask a second question. Have you ever seen the now not non-canon Clone Wars 2D micro series? It's actually even better in my opinion than the 3D Clone Wars show. No, I never have. That's something that gets recommended to me quite a bit. No, I never have. Somebody said it was on YouTube. I think that's correct. Which I'll have to check out. But yeah, maybe I'll watch that after I finish the Clone Wars, the actually 3D one that I'm watching now. And it's only what, like an hour and a half long, like all of the micro series, right? I think, Benjamin. But no, I have not seen it. Bum bada bum 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 bum. Fifi? Fifi? Fi-Fi?
What do you think?
The next question comes from Fi-Fi Fifi Fi-Fi Fifi Gable. I know I'm butchering her name. If that's your real name, I apologize. If that's a made-up name, I like it. Hello there. What role do you think social media has played in polarizing the Star Wars fandom and Americans in general? Do you think we'll ever completely ignore the trolls as in a cultural shift? Been following you for a while. Keep up the good work. Wow, that's a cool question, man. First of all, we all could be better at not feeding trolls and not feeding tribalism and overall stupidity, right? I find myself falling victim to it occasionally, maybe a few times a year. You know, I'll feed something and then sit back and I'll be like, wait, are they just fucking with me? Or isn't it really hard to tell if somebody's just messing with you or their brain is just not where your brain is, you know? And that's not to say that we're smart and they're dumb, right? That's not what I'm saying, but we're on like two different planes, you know? Social media has been incredible and an incredible curse, because we have a tendency to gravitate towards what we already know, what we already like, the voices that we agree with. It's, you know what I mean? So with social media and the internet, it's super easy to just back yourself into a corner where you look at issues or even something as silly as Star Wars through a keyhole, and you're ignoring everything else. You're just listening to the talking heads that you already agree with. You're not getting any more information. You follow people on Twitter that only agree with your sentiments. That's where social media is kind of a curse, because it turns people, it creates, I don't know, it breeds tribalism. It really does. Because it's not like going down to the bar, going down to the town square and listening to a bunch of speakers and opinions. No, you just go to the forum or the Twitter page or whatever that you already know you like, the YouTube channel, and you just listen to what somebody has to say that you know you're already going to agree with. It's like political talk radio. All day, the same narrative is just pumped through these radio speakers, and they're just telling you the same shit the previous guy told you, and then 9 hours later, you've been listening to that all day at work. 9 hours later, you take out your headphones and you just have the same, you've just been fed information for 9 hours into your head. From maybe 4 talk show hosts, but really from one source. I don't know. I don't know, man. I've just gone on a little tangent, right? But social media is great when there's level-headed people. It's a curse when people fall into the trap of tribalism and kind of, I don't know. It's interesting. Definitely got to grow out of it as a human species, as a human race, because You know, it's a new form of communication. I mean, we've never had communication like this. That's why I'm so, like, hopeful for this generation. People always give, like, the newer generation shit. I'm super hopeful for the generation that's born into this technology. Because they're super empathetic. They're born into it. They know how it works. The most vitriolic nonsense and hateful shit that I've seen on the internet are from, like, people from my generation or older. And I just think they just don't know how to use it yet. It's like learning a new language and you're just yelling fucking shit all the time in that other language. You don't know what you're doing, you know? I don't know. The next question comes from Tristan Werby. What's your favorite kind of sandwich or burger? Details. This is my kind of question. All right, I'm gonna get deep. All right, it's time to go deep. It's time to go deep into food. It's time to talk about hamburgers. I need a hamburger. Can I get fries? I need a baked potato. No. My favorite sandwich, I would say, God, there's a couple. I love Reuben's. I absolutely love Reuben's. I love buffalo chicken sandwiches too, which I'm actually going to my favorite buffalo chicken place tonight. They make an incredible buffalo chicken sandwich. I'll take a picture of it on Twitter tonight and I'll post it. My favorite type of burger, my favorite burger of all time is from a place called Blind Rabbit. And it's called the barbecue bacon burger. And you know, normally I just like my burgers pretty, you know, simple. Occasionally I like a fried egg on top of it, or guacamole. But this burger, it has barbecue sauce on it. It's like a sweet, tangy barbecue. It has caramelized onions on it and mushrooms. And then fried onions on top and bacon. Oh my God. It's my favorite burger of all time. Now I'm getting super hungry, Tristan. Appreciate you making my tummy rumble, man. Alright. Next question comes from Alexander Garcilazo Marino. And I hope I pronounced your name correctly, man. Hey, HelloGreedo. Do you think Star Wars was a major contributor for Toys R Us going out of business? I'm interesting. I am asking this question because there is a YouTube channel called World Class Bullshitters that makes popular videos about how no one is buying these Star Wars figures. Their most recent video discusses this issue by showing shelves full of unwanted Star Wars toys at a local Toys R Us. Thanks and may the force be with you. P.S. You did a great job pronouncing my ridiculous name. You predicted it. You predicted it. Nice. No, I think that's a really dumb thing to equate the I don't know. The desolation of an entire corporation because of one single franchise's toys? That's I think that's really dumb. I think Toys R Us has been hurting for years and years and years, and to think that just because some Star Wars figures aren't selling on a few shelves, that's destroyed their business model. I think that's a really silly thing to I don't know, to think that would take down an entire corporation. I mean, what brought down Best Buy? Or what, I mean, yeah, Best Buy's going out of business. Eventually it will, right? What brought down Circuit City? What brought down Blockbusters? I mean, so many companies are going out of business nowadays. It's because of the internet. It's 100% because of the internet. It's because Target sells toys. It's because Walmart sells toys. It's because you can go to Walmart, get toys, get toilet paper, and get dinner. Also, you got to look at the management of Toys R Us. Who knows about the corporate business dealings and all that kind of behind-the-scenes stuff that was going on. But to think that a single franchise, like if you go into a Toys R Us, Star Wars is like, I don't know, if you look at a jar full of coins, Star Wars is like one a quarter in a giant thing of coins. It's one little piece into the puzzle. And to think that that brought down this huge corporation, it's pretty silly. I don't know. But, I'd be interested to kind of see the investment side, the stock side. I'm sure it's just been tanking for a decade, you know? Just like every brick and mortar store. It's hurting. Every brick and mortar store is hurting. I know somebody that works at a Hallmark, and it's like Hallmark might be going out of business, you know? The next question comes from Raiden. Hey, HelloGreedo, if you had a clone-style nickname like Rex or Fives, what do you think it would have been? Interesting. Man. That's tough. That's tough. How about Clumsy? I'm gonna go with Clumsy. Clumsy. That's my answer, Raiden. Clumsy. My wife says I'm clumsy. My wife says that sometimes when I'm cleaning up or doing something or at a store or something like that, I'm walking around like a bull in a china shop because I guess I'm a pretty big dude, and like sometimes like the antique stores that we go to have very small aisles and glass everywhere, and I'm just trying to, you know, I'm like 6'2", 210, and yeah, clumsy, Raiden, clumsy. The next question comes from Ian Reichs. What's the dumbest thing you've seen in any franchise that isn't Star Wars? Ian, the dumbest thing I've seen in any franchise that isn't Star Wars. Man. That's really tough. My problem, Ian, is that my brain doesn't work that fast. Like, if I watch, me and my wife watch Jeopardy a lot, and the question will get asked, and I'll know it. I know it. They'll buzz in, they'll say it, and then I'll go, yeah, I knew it. My brain just doesn't work fast. I suck. But off the top of my head, Ian, I'm going with Indiana Jones surviving the nuclear explosion inside of a refrigerator. I guess it was a lead-lined refrigerator. And then it got tossed into the air and rumbled. That's probably the dumbest thing. I get it, it's fun, whatever. But that was probably the dumbest thing in a long time that I had seen in a franchise that wasn't Star Wars. I'm gonna guess that's due to the increase in tablets and phones and access to kids. They don't care for it. Ian, that's a really good point too. Yeah, media, the way kids play nowadays is way different than kids used to play, at least from my perspective, what I see kids doing. Like back in my day, we used to, like I was born in '86. I grew up really in the '90s, and played a lot in the '90s. And like we used to go out back and have pine cone wars. We would just lob pine cones at one another. We used to play war, running around with these fake plastic guns. We used to make like these long ass Hot Wheel tracks through the house. We used to play with action figures all the time. I'm sure that the whole digital revolution has something to do with kids not wanting toys. You know, they want that tablet, they want that game. That's a really good point as well. The next question comes from Jack Evans. What are you most nervous about as being a new parent? I know that you will do a good job. Well, I appreciate the vote of confidence, Jack. The thing that I'm most nervous about, man, I guess it's not really, there's nothing that I'm nervous about early on. Like when she's a newborn, an infant. I'm not nervous about that. I'm more nervous about, I don't know, as she gets older. I really don't know. There's nothing really specific that I'm nervous about, Jack. Overall, it's I don't even know. Like, I love my cats, right? I love my cats, but I know that when my daughter comes, it will be a love that I will not even be able to explain. I won't be able to equate it to anything. Nothing will compare to it. Like, I don't. So I am so protective right now of like my cats and everything. I just think that I'm just gonna be nervous for the rest of my life about my daughter, you know? I don't know. I'm nervous right now for her being born. I'll be nervous every time I put her down in the crib. I'll be nervous every time that we drive around in the car. I'll be nervous every time we go to eat. I'll be nervous. I'll just be nervous for the rest of my life, Jack. Nothing particular. I'll just be a nervous wreck, right? Let me scroll up a little bit. The next question comes from Alex R. I'd like to get involved with you guys playing the Old Republic. What's the best way to get involved? Haven't played the game in about 2 years. Alex R. Let's see. Let me scroll up a little bit. There we go. The best way to get involved is... Let's see. So anybody can invite you into the guild, Alex. Anybody can. Which is good. You know, we want the guild to expand. No restrictions. The best way, if I'm not streaming, Alex, the best way to get in the guild is to join the Discord server. There will be a link in the video description below. I'm pretty sure once this goes live, the link down there will stay. But go to the Discord server, sign up if you don't have a Discord thing, which you should. Everybody in the chat has a special supporter Discord role, Alex. So if you're not taking advantage of that, do it. And then once you get on the Discord, you can go to, you can get on the server and type "somebody please invite me to the guild," and then somebody will invite you. But yeah, that's the best way to get involved, or you know, just wait for one of my streams where I'm playing it and type your name in the chat, and people are pretty quick to give you an invite. It's pretty great. But yeah, man, this is the first time I played the game really since 2011 when it first came out. They've added quite a bit. I'm still kind of like on a second learning curve right now. I'm learning the game a second time, you know. But I'm really enjoying it. It's fun. Like, we already got a huge stronghold. Luke Fredericks has been just helping me immensely with getting everything together. Last time I checked, we had like 180 members in the guild. I'm sure it's gone up since then. But yeah, man, come join us. It'll be fun. The next question comes from the movie critic dude. Now that you're enjoying the Clone Wars, think you'll also watch the 2003 miniseries of the same name, which was also awesome. Now with your Clone Wars videos, I can now use them on others who haven't seen the Clone Wars, and why they should like it, as it's a fantastic show, such as Erod and the Blockbuster, for example. Erod the Blockbuster. I don't know what that is. Blockbuster Buster. Blockbuster Buster. Is that a YouTuber? Maybe. That was actually asked earlier, wasn't it? Yeah, eventually I'll probably watch it, probably after the Clone Wars series that I'm currently watching, you know? I don't really know too much about the 2003 miniseries. So, like, I think I can picture the art style. I think I can. But, yeah, eventually I probably will. But, you know, that's kind of cool, like you said about my Clone Wars videos. Like, using them to get other people to watch the show. You know, obviously don't be too pushy. Don't be like, you gotta watch this. Because nobody likes that. People like to come into things on their own, right? Or maybe you could say, you know, this guy, this HelloGreedo guy, he didn't think I would like he didn't think he would like the Clone Wars. He's not a big prequel fan. But he actually ended up liking it. And maybe you will too. That's probably the best way to go about it, the movie critic dude. Alright, let me scroll up a little bit.
Will be with you.
Oh, nice, super chat.
Advice for the little girl. Be careful she's not near a cell phone or tablet for too long. The radiation is really harmful for the brain of infants.
Is that true? Raptark, good to see you, man. Thank you so much for the super chat and the channel support. I greatly appreciate that. Is that true? Raptark says, advice for the little girl. Be careful she's not near a cell phone or tablet for too long. Their radiation is really harmful for the brain of infants. I'm looking this up. I don't know if I believe that. I'm very curious. Cell phone radiation infants. Interesting. The potential harm, well, this is WebMD, okay. The potential harm for microwave radiation given off by wireless devices, particularly for children and unborn babies, is the highest of a new review. Although the data is conflicting, links between blah 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 radiation and cancer have been observed. Interesting. Interesting. I'm gonna have to read into this. That's kind of Raptark. That's kind of. It's gonna be very interesting what comes down the pike in a few years, right? Like, everybody's carrying these cell phones in their pockets. Everybody has these wireless devices and Wi-Fi in their house. Everybody's like pinging cell towers. Everybody's getting satellite information. It's gonna be very interesting in like a few decades, maybe 100 years, to see if any of that had much of an effect. You know, all this wireless stuff that we can't really see. I'm no conspiracy theorist, and I'm no alarmist, but you know, side effects. Who knows? We don't know shit about them right now, right? Who knows the long-term side effects? It'd be very interesting. But thanks for the info, man. I'm gonna actually have to read into that. I never thought of that. Never once thought about that being harmful. And I don't even know if I'm not gonna give her a cell phone or a tablet for when she's too young, right? We gotta go camping. We gotta go kayaking. We gotta go for a walk. But I appreciate that super chat, Raptark, and I hope you're having a good one, man. Let me pull up Cap Cold Blood. All right, here we go. Let me take a sip of water before reading Cap's novel. My throat always gets so dry. All right, the next question comes from Cap Cold Blood. Back again with another installment of Star Wars philosophies. This time we'll discuss which side of the Clone Wars to be a part of, the Galactic Republic or the Confederacy of the Independent Systems. Having seen the Clone Wars, especially the Papanoidian episodes, you get an idea of the two governments: the Republic, run by corporations and corrupt politicians, and the Confederacy, run by individuals and committees, and yet containing underhanded groups like the Trade Federation and led by Count Dooku. The Republic seeks to bring the galaxy together under one banner, while the Confederacy leave to begin again. Okay, separating from the corrupt Republic. The Republic forces the Jedi, natural peacekeepers, to lead and fight in their war, while the Separatists kidnap and bribe their way to victory. Both sides can be labeled as corrupt and in need of correction. Some might pick the Republic for the presence of the clones or the Jedi. Some may pick the Separatists, who, aside from their shady allies, are freedom fighters seeking a resolution to the conflict and wishing to govern themselves away from the corrupt and controlling Republic. Which side would you choose? The rebellious Confederacy or the established Republic? I would go with the Republic. Doesn't it seems more
You seek Yoda.
You know him?
there's not as much chaos, right? I don't know. Freedom fighter is an interesting word to talk about the Confederacy in that way, because I mean, like you said, the Trade Federation is a part of it. The Confederacy doesn't seem like it makes any sense. Everybody is just vying for power. It's like when, I mean, look at like Syria or something like that. There is a power vacuum created, and everybody is trying to become the leader. I mean, not Syria. Libya. There's a power vacuum. This always happens. A dictator goes down. A power vacuum is created. Factions spark up. Everybody's fighting. You can call it the Confederacy, but everybody is always at one another's throats. It's not like they're under one banner. They're really not. Everybody is shady to everyone else. There's no allegiance within this Confederacy of Independent Systems. There really isn't. Everybody's cutthroat to one another, you know? In the Republic, at least there is some order. There is some law. There is an attempt to curb the corruption. Everybody has a seat at the table. Everybody has a voice. At least there is an attempt. At least there's an attempt. But I'll have to see what the rest of the show is. Oh, Cap, I just see your super chat. I'll wait for that robot to read it. It's interesting. Yeah, I would have to go with the Republic. I think you would go with the CIS. I think.
They'll go in depth in the show. It's not like that.
It's interesting. Like, I like reading your thing. The Republic run by corporations and corrupt politicians. The Confederacy run by individuals and committees. It's interesting that you see it that way. I don't. But like you said, they'll go in depth in the show. Confederacy is not like that. Okay. I'll have to look into that, or I'll have to watch the show more. Obviously, right? I think the next arc that I'm going to be watching is going to be heavy on the political side of things. I don't really know what to expect, but that's what William Aguilar told me. So maybe there'll be more information about all the nonsense that I just said. But Cap, I appreciate the question and the brain buster and the super chat, man. I don't have much sympathy for the Confederacy. I guess I do have rose-colored glasses, even in the real world. You know, I want the Federation, the Star Trek Federation. You know, where everybody's kind of under one banner. You know, everybody's peaceful with one another. There's not a bunch of factions splitting off. There's a common good that's kind of trying to be addressed. You know, but yeah. Now we're getting into the territory of sponsor questions that come from Discord. Ryan Reynolds always said he'd take a bullet for his wife until he saw his first kid, and then he said he knew if the time ever came up, he'd use her as a shield to protect that baby. That's funny. That's funny, Ian. I'd never heard that. That makes sense. Ryan Reynolds and his wife are funny as shit. Empathetic Chaos says. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Blake Lively is his wife, right? Yeah. Yeah. She's probably one of the most beautiful human beings alive, right? Makatsi asks, what if Star Wars just ended with original trilogy? No books, comics, prequels, sequels. What would the world look like, and would Star Wars be so huge now? Interesting. If it would have ended, I mean, it's kind of interesting to look before the prequels, right? Star Wars was always huge. I mean, I was always a huge Star Wars fan. I was born 3 years after Return of the Jedi. I was born in '86, and I mean, up until 1999 when the prequels came out, I was a huge Star Wars fan. My love for Star Wars, it didn't go up. It didn't get any more when the prequels came out or anything like that. I've always been a Star Wars fan. So I think if like no books, comics, prequels, or sequels, I think Star Wars would always be this kind of this blip, a cultural blip. Kind of in the same way if you look at like Jaws, right? Jaws came out in what? 73? I gotta look this up. When did Jaws come out? 75. Okay, 75. So, like, Jaws came out, right? You can say that there's sequels, but there's not fucking sequels to Jaws. There's no Jaws sequels. But we all look back. Jaws was this cultural blip, this incredible moment in movie-making history. I think if there were no books, comics, prequels, or sequels in the Star Wars universe, people would just look back at 1977, 1980, and 83 as this cultural blip, this moment where kind of the sci-fi game changed, the blockbuster was created, you know? I don't know. It's kind of interesting. What would the world look like, and would Star Wars be so huge now? No, I don't think it would. Obviously, it wouldn't be as big, but I think it would still have a lot of fans. People would still be talking about it. Obviously, there wouldn't be a Star Wars celebration, but there would, without a doubt, be like a booth or something at conventions. You would probably have Mark Hamill, Harrison Ford, and coming out on stage at these little convention things, and it would be like, I don't know, when you go see like a Firefly convention or something like that. It's not huge. It's not, the convention isn't there for Firefly, but there is a Firefly panel. It would probably be like that, you know. But interesting question. I've never really thought about it before. Yeah. Look, Ian Sheedy just said exactly what I said. It'd be the Firefly of the 70s. Palpameme. Next question comes from Palpameme. Let's say that Rian Johnson trilogy was about discovering the Force. What would you want the new trilogy to be about? Good luck for future, and may the Force be with you, Jar Jar. Thumbs up, smiley face. Misa step in the poopy. What would you want the new trilogy to be about? So, golly, I don't even know. I'm trying to think. So you're saying the Rian Johnson trilogy is the trilogy that I've always wanted, or the movies that I've always wanted, where, you know, you go way back in time, follow the people that discovered the Force. But what would the other trilogy be about? God. See, I really want some, man, I'm not good at thinking outside the box, and I hope the people that are in charge of making new Star Wars TV shows and movies can think outside of the box. Because, you know, obviously we don't want to rehash, we don't want another Han Solo-like character, we don't want the same old shit. But what would I want a trilogy to be about? I mean, I think it would be interesting to do a series of movies around the Old Republic era, you know? Not necessarily have to follow the canon that was previously established, because you know, I personally want the writers and the directors and the movie makers to have as much freedom as possible, and to be confined and restricted by what came before. You know, as much as you complain about it, it would be like giving your writers, putting shackles on your writers, you know.
Pretty close to the mark.
That's why
like that, huh,
new
kid?
canon is new canon. Freedom. But no, probably the Old Republic era. You know, they're gonna have to look at a lot of different eras, because with this saga, right, with the Skywalker saga and all that stuff, that is like the most important thing in our mind when it comes to the Star Wars franchise. We think of Star Wars, we think this linear story is the most important thing ever in the Star Wars universe. But the more they branch out and do other stories and all this kind of stuff, the more and more the Skywalker saga, these 9 films, will feel less and less important in the overall, in the huge Star Wars universe. Does that make sense? It makes sense in my head. So, long story short, yeah, whatever. Let's do an Old Republic movie. Alright, I'm scrolling up. Next question comes from Nine Nut, Mr. Oliard. Let me keep scrolling up a little bit. Alright, Nine Nut, which director would you like to see tackle a Star Wars movie, and why? What makes you think that director would do a good job? You know the answer to this. You know the answer to this question, Nine Nut, Oliard. I would want Danny Boyle. You know, and that's probably not a very conventional answer. You know, a lot of people would probably go with like Joss Whedon or something like that. Danny Boyle, to me, is an amazing visual storyteller. I've liked every single film that I've seen of his. For those of you guys who don't know who Danny Boyle is, he made Sunshine, which is a really fun sci-fi film. If you haven't seen Sunshine, I recommend it. It's one of the most beautiful films I've ever seen. Soundtrack is incredible too. He made Slumdog Millionaire. He made one of my top 10 favorite movies is called 127 Hours. He made that. He made Train Spotting. He made 28 Days Later. So yeah, he's made a lot of different types of movies. And they have all been unique, and he is a really good visual storyteller. And I would love to see a Danny Boyle Star Wars movie. I would just love to see that. I don't even know what it would be, what it would look like, what the story would be about. I would just want him to, you know, have some freedom. Make a super, like, cerebral and weird Star Wars movie. I think that would be interesting, you know. The next question comes from Rilo Kin. Since Leia survives in The Last Jedi, how do you think her role will be handled in Episode 9? Also, congrats with becoming a father, and may the Force be with you always. Not a dad yet. I'll be a dad in like a month. 1 second. Let me take a sip of water. All right. I have no idea, Rilo Ken. I have no idea how it'll be handled. I was surprised that Leia's character wasn't. We didn't lose her. Wasn't killed in the movie. But then later on, I thought about it. They had the movie done, obviously, that and then Carrie Fisher passed. They shouldn't feel like they need to go in and change the movie because, just because external forces. Does that make sense? Makes sense in my head. I always say that, right? Makes sense in my head. I don't know what's coming out of my mouth, but it makes sense in my head. I have no idea what they're gonna do though. It's possible that they'll have a gap in time for Episode 9, a break in the timeline. Unlike Force Awakens and The Last Jedi, which just went back to back, they finished, start, or you know what I mean? Maybe there'll be a break in the timeline, and there will be some kind of explanation for Leia's absence. But really, I have no idea. And also, isn't it possible that they have enough unused material, shots here and there, from the filming of The Last Jedi and even The Force Awakens? Maybe they have just a lot of, maybe they have like 40 minutes of Leia stuff that they did not use in the film, and maybe they'll use it for Episode 9. Spotty here and there, and maybe she'll just live on forever in the franchise. That could be possible too. But they already said they're not going to CG Carrie Fisher, which I think is good. Isn't CGing dead actors and stuff like that a little creepy to you? It's creepy to me. It's creepy to me. I don't know. The next question comes from Sully Hogs. Let me take another sip of water, because golly. I mean, actually, the more I think about that, the more that might actually happen. Leia living on forever in the saga. I don't know. The next question comes from Sully Hogs. Out of all the races and every little piece of Star Wars material you've read, watched, or played, which one is your favorite, and/or the most intriguing? P.S. Humans don't count. I've always, maybe there's a different name for it. I've always been curious what exactly the Sarlacc pit really is. I'm sure there's some fucking legend shit that I've never read that completely explains the Sarlacc pit and all that stuff. I have just always been intrigued. Before the special editions, right? Now the Sarlacc pit is basically a Venus flytrap that can come out and bite stuff unnecessarily so. The pit itself, before the special editions, it was just like this hole in the ground that was living. And I wanted to always know what was below the sand. Was the Sarlacc beast or whatever just enormous? Was it just this huge creature under the sand with its mouth always like looking upward? You know what I mean? I think. See, I look at the Sarlacc pit before the special editions. That's how my brain looks at it. When I think of the Sarlacc pit, I don't see the worm hand coming out. I don't see that. I see a pit where, just like on the high seas, pirates used to make people walk the plank and then push them off into the water, and they would just fall and drown and die. I saw the Sarlacc pit as the same thing. You didn't need this monster to come out of it. It's literally supposed to be walking the plank like a pirate, and you're falling into the pit, the sea, and you're gonna die. So yeah, to me, the Sarlacc pit has always been kind of intriguing. And I'm sure, like I said, there's some EU explanation or some shit, you know, whatever. But, I don't know. Sometimes mystery is more important, right? Because the stuff that I'm reading right now on Wikipedia is not very inventive. And I don't know. It would almost be kind of cool, like, if the Sarlacc pit was just what they called it, what Jabba called it. It's the Sarlacc pit. You know what I mean? Maybe Sarlacc was the region of Tatooine where this pit was. But maybe the creature wasn't named Sarlacc.
Do you think a prince?
You know what I mean?
No.
Maybe the creature, what would... I'm trying to think of a real world kind of example of this. I'm trying to think of a real world example. You wouldn't call... I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I'm blabbering. Sarlacc pit, Sully. Sarlacc pit. Well, yeah, I tried to fire up Battlefront again today. I tried, you know, whatever. If you guys follow me on Twitter, you saw it's just so super disappointing. I can't play it, man. No idea what's going on. Super frustrating. But yeah. All right. Like I said earlier, this is, you know, now I'm going to be doing the patron Q&As, the sponsor supporter Q&As every month. Like how Native Americans got called Indians even though they weren't Indians. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah. Yeah. They were called Indians because they thought they were in India. They thought they landed in India. They were trying to find a passageway, and they thought they landed in India. So yeah, they called them Indians.
Right.
Pretty dumb. Yeah, I guess that's a good way to look at it. But yeah, like I said, this was the first, like, really monthly Q&A. I usually do them every other month, but I'm going to start doing them every month now. It'll make it more fun, you know, because it doesn't take too long. So this was a little shorter than normal because I think it just threw people off that I was doing it every month. So I had like half of the questions that I normally have, but yeah. When were you doing the longer Star Wars The Old Republic stream, or did I hear wrong yesterday, Makatsi? I'm planning on doing a long stream tomorrow morning, and it'll probably be Star Wars The Old Republic, because Battlefront's not working. But yeah, I'm planning on streaming tomorrow, Saturday, at like maybe 9:30 a.m., maybe 9 a.m. to like noon, 10, 11, 12, like 3 hours or so. That's Eastern time, Saturday. Don't hold me to those times. We'll see, you know, we'll see. But yeah, I appreciate you guys sitting and checking this, or giving this stream a little watch. I know we had a lot of people watching that weren't sponsors, couldn't type in the chat, and I'm sure a lot of people were, why are you doing this? This is stupid. You can't restrict people. I literally do this 6 times a year. Dude, can you guys believe that? I've had people bitch about me making the chat sponsor only. I do this 6 times a year. Now I'm doing it 12 times a year. I stream like every day. So like out of like 3, let's say I stream 200 times. Let's say I stream 200 times in a year. 12 of those are sponsor only. People are silly. This is a way for me to say thank you to the people that you know, support the channel on a monthly basis, something that I appreciate like hell. I truly do. So thank you so much to Cap Coldblood, Raptark, for super chats today. I really appreciate that. I always forget that that is on when I'm doing these supporter Q&As. And I appreciate everybody tuning in. All Ian, Chidi, Makatsi, Empathetic Chaos. Who else was up there? Syncubus36. And was Sickid here? I don't think Sickid was here, right? Alright guys, well, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm actually going to be doing another stream later. I got some stuff to knock out. I'm going to make a video here. Yeah, I'll probably do a stream maybe around 3 p.m. Just an hour stream, just hang out. So yeah. Alright. I don't know how to end these streams. Normally I go to like a cutscene and whatever, but I'll go to a cutscene. Whatever. Alright guys, thank you so much for the support and hanging out with me for a little over an hour. I will catch you all on the flip side. And stay tuned for next month's Q&A. Not too sure when that'll be. The baby is due around mid-April, so we'll play that one by ear. But I really appreciate all the support, guys. Unreal Tournament stream? Not today. Let me actually pull up Steam. Off to start my new job now. Nice, Empathetic. Kick some ass, man. Why is Steam taking forever? Alright guys, I'm gonna hop off. Like I said, I'll probably stream around 3 p.m. Eastern time just for an hour. Tune in for that. I'll probably play some... I don't even know what I'll play. I'll figure it out. Alright, take it easy guys. Thank you so much for everything. Music's about to get loud, FYI. See ya.
I've